That's your spot. Do not move from it, okay? But also don't be rigid, okay? Try to be natural. And speak to me, conversational every day, like a friend. But there's fear here, there's emotion. You're searching for a hero, Will no one save you? But don't hit it too hard. Just throw it away. But with feeling, okay? All right. Oh, there's cue cards if you need them. But don't look at them, look at me, okay? But, they're there. So roll sound.
Rolling.
Camera.
Ready.
And action.
TBTL.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
It's Friday. Gonna get down on Friday.
Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
What is this guy trying to do? Is this supposed to be what Bozo's thinking or saying?
What guy? It's Bozo. Bozo did it.
Bozo did what?
Bozo did the dub.
I just wanted to call and tell you guys that while teaching a Zoom class today, I grabbed one of the dead bats I was using as a specimen example and put it on my desk on top of my TBTL sound machine, which proceeded to play Don't Miss the Sausage Fest about 50 times in a row. I tried to talk really loudly over it, but there's no way that a bunch of middle schoolers missed something saying the word sausage. Anyway, that's my life now.
Put my headphones on, and here we go. I'm so excited.
All right, hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Friday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
It's electric, and there's no turning back.
My name is Luke Burbank. I am your host.
You got to eat that microphone.
Coming to you from the Nest Broadcast Center high in the sky, above Portland, Oregon, where we got big plans today. Going out to visit my sister Liz. A bunch of my family is gathering. Addie is here. She stayed here last night, and we're doing a big old Burbank family jamboree out in beautiful Willard, Washington, population 45. It's going to swell to like 60 people today. And you look out the window, and it's raining.
Didn't know you like to get wet, though.
Like, I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say this is the first measurable rain we've had in Portland in 2 months, 3 months, and probably won't have it again for another month. And it's happening today, but that's all right. We're going to make the best of it, and we're going to make the best of this, episode 3483 in a collector's series.
Let the fun begin.
Yesterday, we were talking about the announcement that Jeopardy is close to apparently finalizing a deal with its new permanent host. And I had some misgivings about the process because this guy who is apparently going to be the new host was also the executive producer and was in charge of, to some degree, the hiring process. Well, a story in The Ringer now says things might be more complicated than we were thinking.
Extortion, bribery, junkyard cats. This is nasty, heavy stuff.
I don't know how many junkyard cats are involved, but there is the allegation, might be putting it sort of strongly. But it would seem, according to this reporting, that this dude, Mike Richards, who was playing like he was just at the last minute thrown into the fill-in hosting role because somebody, some other like celebrity had to cancel at the last minute. That story is definitely not true.
Look it's plain and simple. It's bullshit.
So we will, we'll continue with the intrigue that is the Jeopardy host position coming up. Also, not because the listeners asked for it or because I'm even interested in the story anymore, but gall darn it, we're going to talk about this menu hack story.
Welcome to Food News Today.
Just because I've been promoting it for 3 days. If we don't get to it today, then it's a lost cause. But the thing is, I've read this article. It's fairly long, and I made a lot of notes. I have things underlined. I put a lot of work into prepping this story. I wrote down too many things in the margin at some point. I drew an eyeball. I did a lot of work on this, and I'll be frustrated if we don't get to it. So anyway, we'll try to do that. Plus some music for your weekend because it's a Friday. And this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, may be best known for his depictions of the tall ships.
He's got chutzpah and broad-based knowledge. A bit of the showman in him, our champion, Austin.
That's right. Our champion, Andrew, is joining us right now from the Roosevelt neighborhood of Seattle, Washington. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I know, it's raining. Vives and I are supposed to go on a little adventure, too, this weekend.
Right.
We're not sleeping outside. We're not camping the way you are. But I think I mentioned to you a while back that we're headed to this little town called Packwood.
Yeah, and I just assumed that you were camping because, first of all, I don't know if I've heard of Packwood, Washington. Mm-hmm. And it just sounds like to me like there sounds like the kind of they used to have a couple ghosts living there as well.
Yeah, there were two of them and a bunch
Nobody's
of cherries.
seen them in a while. What happened? And also, why did the investigation grow cold on that?
All I
Inky,
remember
Blinky.
is they turned blue and everybody fled. That's all I know.
No, when I heard that you and Vives were going to somewhere called Packwood, I even wrote it in the notes. It says, Luke and Andrew both have big camping adventures in front of them this weekend. And then I find out you're not even camping. What are you doing?
Just going to Packwood. We are going to go on some day hikes supposedly tomorrow. I don't think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but I might just have a case of the supposed does. So this little town is like, would you say it's in the? I'd like to say it's in the shadow of Mount Rainier. That's just because it's a fun way of saying it. I don't know how far south it is, but if you look at a map, it's like directly south of Mount Rainier. And Genevieve, I think, passed through there on a different hiking adventure and thought it was an incredibly cute town with like a cute hotel and then like a little restaurant and a little bar, and also supposed to be a really, really beautiful place for some day hikes. So we're just going to go out there. We'll probably get there early evening tonight. We're both exhausted. I'm coming in rough today, Luke.
What's going on?
This week I am not somebody who's staying out at the bars late at night.
Were you out carousing last night again?
Yes, and it happened 2 nights ago as well for just another random reason. But
far be it from me to judge, but yeah, I figure you got one of those in you a week, maybe back to backers,
and both of them were just like kind of impromptu. My gosh, where does the time go? Kind of things. But you know what? It turns out some real TBTL friendos are in town. You know our boy Bobby. In from the East Coast, from like the Albany, Boston area. And I know that's not the same area. It's complicated. Also, Hillary.
Balbany, the larger Balbany region.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Remember Hillary from Austin is in town, and Will, who's here in the Seattle area, our buddy Will the pilot. Yeah, they were all getting together, and they were. What? And I was telling, but he was texting me earlier in the week. He's like, "Do you think that maybe we can get together?" I'm like, "I'd love to. I know I'm going to be working on stuff pretty late on Thursday. It's my newsletter night, whatever." About midday yesterday, I saw my to-do list stacking up, and I'm like, I got to pull the plug on this. I don't want to leave you hanging. I'm not going to be able to meet up with you tonight. I was still working on the newsletter at like 9:30. I mean, that's not woe is me. It's just like I'd put things off, and I made the newsletter more complicated than it needed to be. And around 9:30, I get a text from them saying, "Okay, but just so you know, we're at Teddy's." That's like 3 blocks from me, and I hadn't seen these folks in forever. So I'm like, all right.
A good boy deserves a little reward for putting the newsletter to bed on a Thursday night, having that all done, having your ducks in a row.
But my ducks weren't really in a row. I still had some other whether TBTL stuff to do that I usually have to do on Thursday nights to get them into people's hands on Friday. It's kind of my deadline day. I let some of those go until the morning, which is why I asked for a later dial-up. I haven't packed anything yet. We're going to Packwood. The whole point of going to Packwood is you got to pack. You show
it's not
up,
called
not
Unpackwood.
Exactly. Like you show up, like they know. They can tell. They're experts.
There's actually a checkpoint.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm a little bit. So we end up staying out. All I know is, so I didn't even get there until 9:30, and then eventually it just becomes me and Bobby at the bar, and then eventually Genevieve shows up. She shows up after midnight. My boy. She shows up after midnight. We are in our 40s.
Been out with, let me guess, was there a Camaro Kev component?
No. Genevieve had just been on the phone with her mom for a really long time, catching up.
She was at home.
So she was just at home, and I was leaving, and I whispered to her while she was on the phone. I said, "Going to Teddy's." And then I said, Will is there too. And I put my arms out like an airplane and went so that she would know exactly what I was talking about.
And you got some food that she doesn't like, and you put it on a fork, and you said, the airplane's coming into the hangar. She's like, I'm trying to talk to my mom in Atlanta. Leave me alone.
Exactly. I unfortunately did not have any miming for Hillary and Bobby. But anyway, Genevieve got the message. But then when it got to be like 11:30, I'm like, oh, well, Genevieve isn't coming. We'll like settle up here, and I'll take off. And then right as I was about to leave, Genevieve comes in hot at like 12:30 at night. So we stuck around. I did not go to bed until well after 2 last night.
Holy guacamole.
I know. I'm rough. You can hear it in my voice. I don't know, man. We'll just have to see how this goes today.
I had there was the possibility of me having a sort of similar event last night, but for once in my life, I headed it off. I really can't. I know that it's just exhausting to the listeners when I get on these little sort of like projects for about 5 days, and then I won't shut up about it. But I will tell you, this whole thing I've been doing about trying to exercise in the morning for this week has been useful because it has very much moderated my nighttime behavior.
Oh yeah.
So
and
in a way that
forward to it too, right? Are you no?
I look forward to being done with it.
Oh, okay.
So this morning I just went on a jog because, to be honest, my legs were getting pretty sore by day 4 of basketball times, and I kind of couldn't figure it out because there's no one else. I'm not playing against anyone. I'm not really playing basketball. I'm just shooting around, which seems like a pretty passive activity. But because of my weird drill that I'm doing, I'm probably shooting 100 layups. And then I realized, the reason my legs are sore is I still am jumping.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the activity. There's just nobody trying to block the ball. So anyway, I just went on a little jog this morning, and what I was excited about was being done with the jog and that kind of endorphin release. So I do look forward to it in a way. But Addie is here, and because we're going to be heading out for this family get-together. And she rolled up last night, and we were having a little dinner and just kind of hanging out. And she had noticed that there's this very cute bar around the corner from my place. It used to be called the Elvis Room here in Portland, and they changed the name to Good Luck Charm. And I guess while she was waiting for me to come down and let her into the apartment building, she had seen the bar, and then she was Googling some info on it and had found out that it has a really cute downstairs area, etc. So she was like, so we're sitting there having a glass of wine and a little dinner, and it's like 9, and she's like, hey, do you want to go to that bar? And I was like, first I was like, it's 9. Like, I can't be a part of that kind of shenanigans. But then I was like, my daughter's in town. It doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, let's go. So we went over there, and it was great. We had one drink, and I was, of course, the whole time worried people thought we were on a date. The bartender said, what are you up to tonight? And I said, just a family hangout.
just
hanging out. Just family hangout. Yeah, no one cares but me, but it's just I am very, very concerned that people will misinterpret the situation.
Sure.
And we're masked because we're doing that. I mean, it's not the official rule, but we're trying to be responsible people again, so it further obscures what's going on.
And you have those daddy-daughter rings that look like wedding bands. The whole thing is kind of weird. Honestly.
Oh yeah, classic. We picked those up at father-daughter.
Yeah, daddy's girl.
I was trying to do a mother-boy. I was trying to transition that into a mother-boy real quick. But But we were having a drink, and we were having a really lovely time. And I was like, I could feel somewhere in the back of my mind thinking, what we could do? We could saunter down to
it'd be ironic
if I took my daughter to a place called my father's place, where her father likes to go.
Yeah.
That might be too much, but I was like, I could just that little voice. When you get drink 1.5 in you, that starts to think, "Hey, this is nice. It'd be nicer if it kept going."
Yeah.
But I looked at her, and then I think she said, "All right, we're done here." And I was so glad that she broke the spell.
Yeah.
And then we headed back, and I was of course quite happy for it this morning. But it was like I was teetering on the precipice of where you ended up, I think.
Well, here's how I'm looking at this. I am just exhausted. So I got 5 hours of not very good sleep. I'm really glad. By the way, not complaining. I'm really glad I made the decision. It would have been easy to, or if the gang was at a bar just slightly further away, right? I probably would not have, gotten on a bus or something to go there. But it was right around the corner. So I was like, all right, come on. I haven't seen these guys in forever. So, and I'm glad. I am glad I did. I am in rough shape right now, so I think what the plan is let's get to Packwood tonight. I'm just saying this as if you're going
Sure.
with me, but I'm just sort of thinking this through. Like, let's go get there a little bit early, have a respectable dinner, not go hog wild or anything, go to bed early, like kind of ride this tiredness to an early evening, and then wake up at a decent hour tomorrow. And I think we're going on like a 10-mile
Andrew must
hike
have
or
come
something.
early
Yes. So.
to Packwood.
So
That's a good plan.
Yeah, so I almost think that, like, I won't call them the mistakes of last night, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, the trajectory that I am on. Never try to say that word while hungover. That is a bad hangover word, trajectory. But maybe I can make this all work in my favor by bedding down early tonight.
This is one of the saddest life hacks you've ever heard, but I actually have done that in my life, not intentionally, but I have known that if I have, let's say, something that I absolutely have to be fresh and ready to go. In other words, if there's an event happening, let's say on a Friday, and I need to really be my best self. If it's Wednesday and I'm kind of feeling overly enthused and frisky, I will think to myself, well, if I go ham on Wednesday, then Thursday is going to be brutal, but I will have no trouble going to bed Thursday night at 9 o'clock, sans alcohol. It's almost like sabotaging myself one day so that I will then be incapable of sabotaging myself on the day that's most critical.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that is a
sad,
messed
but
up
I know what you
system.
mean. Yeah.
So I think you may have unintentionally done that to yourself, because what will happen is you'll go to Packwood, you'll have a nice yummy dinner, and then you'll go to sleep, like you said, at a respectable hour, and then you will feel great on Saturday for hiking.
That's right. Yep. So, but that's
So,
all I know about where we're
thought
going.
of it all.
I don't know. I don't know much about like the path or anything. And Genevieve says it's a 10-mile easy hike tomorrow, so I think I can handle that.
That sounds really fun. Yeah, we'll be my sister and her husband. I think they live on, I think it's like 50 acres or something. It's a big old giant thing with a river running through it and all of that, and it's really fun. There's a swimming hole. That's the other thing that there's like a couple of swimming holes, like. Which I want it to be.
I noticed you can't say swimming hole. You have to say swimming. I notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a there's an N and then an apostrophe.
Yes, gotcha.
That's it.
You can go fishing
down in the
there,
holler.
too. Yeah.
I've actually been in a holler, and it was quite something. I did this story about a squirrel cook-off.
Oh yeah.
Back a long time ago, and it was in Arkansas, and I went squirrel hunting with this guy, which, it's kind of interesting. I don't think I would sign on for that now because I'm so sensitive about that stuff. But we were walking around in what was a legit holler in Arkansas, and he was like, "Well, we're down in this holler," and I was like, "I've only heard of this in songs."
Do you know what the definition is? I honestly don't know.
I think it just kind of means like a sort of valley, and not even a huge valley, but just kind of a wooded area. That's maybe there's some, it's kind of, there's a hill on one side and then another hill. And when you're kind of down in that lower area and there's brush and trees and you're squirrel hunting, you'd be down in a holler at that point.
Oh, interesting. And I'm not even joking. Is it spelled like holler, like you're like I don't like to be hollered at? No.
I've always imagined it was, but I don't,
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, I just remember this. I remember this guy looking at me and saying something casually about this particular holler we were in, and just being like, "It's happening. I'm in a holler."
Yes.
Going on. So anyway, we'll be down in some hollers out there hiking around as well. Although it's not like they have a big piece of property, but you don't hike it the way like you and Genevieve will be hiking. You kind of take a walk, and there's a big log that goes across the river, and you can see where the beavers are doing their thing. But in the summer when it's really hot. Because that river, it's the Little White Salmon is what the river's called. It is so cold. So when it's 100 degrees, it's like perfect because you actually are ready for the water to be that cold. But again, we've timed this impeccably so that it's like 75 today. And I don't know what tomorrow's going to be, but this is the only time it would be ideal were it to be like 100 degrees, which has pretty much been this whole summer in Portland.
I'm going to say something here because I'm wondering if this is one of those moments where listeners are getting frustrated at us. Is there a chance that the actual word is hollow, but in the South they say it holler, and that's how the folksy way of saying it is holler? Because I'm looking up all these definitions, and a hollow is a low wooded area. And so I think that, and when you say it in Arkansasese, it's probably a holler.
That's probably exactly what it is. Yeah, because down in the hollow is, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And they probably just say holler. In the way that Anthony Fauci, with his deeply Brooklyn pronunciation of things, sometimes it's almost even like, I'm like, do we have a new variant called the Delta?
Oh, really?
Do I need to be worried about the
haven't heard
Delta
that.
as well? Because that sounds scary.
I haven't heard
No, that's
that.
just how Anthony Fauci says Delta.
That's charming.
This Delta virus.
I find that very charming, but it's probably also because I find him charming.
I find him charming as well. And, anybody, whatever. We don't need to.
Nope.
I went off on politics and vaccines this week already, enough for the listeners. But yeah, so I'll be down in the Hollow. Excuse me. I'll be down in the Hollow.
You'll be
out
down.
there in Washington this weekend. And then Addie and I are going camping on Saturday, but it's a little bit of a roll of the dice because we don't have a reservation. But we're going to this area that's rich with campsites. We're doing a little just me and her camp out on Saturday. And so we're leaving the family. The family camp out is kind of dispersing on Saturday because people have plans and things to do. And then we're going to go try to roll up to a campsite and get in on the day of stuff, which I don't know. I feel like despite the pandemic and despite the resurgence of the Delta virus, I feel like everything is just there's a line for everything right now. So I'm a little worried that there's going to be a crazy line for the campsite, and they're going to be like, oh, all of the day of things are taken. But we'll see. There's apparently a bunch of campsites in the area. So worst case scenario, we'll just have to kind of float around. Or
why not just try to make a reservation? There's got to be
They're
some
full.
online form. Oh, I see. So
yeah.
I
It's
understand.
all
I'm sorry, I
yeah,
misunderstood.
all of the reserved places are taken, and so you got to kind of roll up and hope that they leave a certain number of spots for day of.
I'm
So that's
getting
what we're going to try
anxious
to do.
already thinking about that.
I mean, I figure worst case scenario, we'll just go hiking down into the holler somewhere and just throw the tent up.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Yeah, I got a plan. I'm a real outdoorsy kind of guy, Andrew. I think
sure.
you know. So.
Yeah.
All right. We should take a quick break, and then when we come back, I do want to get into this whole Jeopardy situation because the plot thickens on that, and talk about menu engineering because I've committed a lot of my personal time to researching this topic, and I'll be damned if I'm going to waste that prep time and not get into it. So we'll do all that coming up in a moment here on TBTL.
Hey, has anybody here recently had to collaborate with their colleagues remotely? Anyone? Hold up your hands. Keep them up. Oh, everyone? Practically everyone? Well, you're going to be happy to hear about sponsor Notion. Notion combines note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, and so much more into one simple, easy-to-use tool. It's the one place where every team from engineering to sales can work together seamlessly. They have over 500 integrated apps, including Google and Slack and things that you're already using. You can collaborate in real time, you can tailor workflows to your team's specific needs, and you can share things easily. Not a bunch of documents and emails flying around that you can't keep track of. You got hundreds of thousands of teams worldwide already saving time, getting more done, and delighting their employees by using Notion. Plus, Notion has a worldwide community of millions of users that are creating templates and tutorials and all kinds of fun things for each other. They kind of got this built-in community element. And right now, Notion is currently running a special offer to listeners of TBTL. You go to notion.so and use promo code TBTL to get $250 off its annual team plan. That's multiple months for free for growing your team. So don't forget notion.so and then enter the promo code TBTL during checkout. Get collaborating with $250 off at notion.so and use that promo code TBTL. If you like to cook at all, like spend any time in the kitchen, you know that there is something very satisfying and rewarding about cooking with quality cookware. For years as an adult, I was cooking with cruddy pots and pans that I had bought in college or right after college at a grocery store, I think, and not a very good grocery store at that. That is why Genevieve and I have been elated to bring made-in cookware into our lives. We just recently got a new made-in nonstick skillet, and oh my gosh, the difference it makes. The difference it makes. It really makes your time in the kitchen so much more satisfying, like I said, and also it makes cooking easier and it makes your food better. Made In produces all kinds of professional quality cookware and knives. I mean, this is the stuff that chefs use, no joke. They source the finest materials, they partner with renowned craftsmen, and they make premium kitchen tools that are available for you. You're not a chef. That's okay. Actually, we have some chefs in the audience. Okay, some of you are chefs, some of you are not, but either way, you will all enjoy Made In products. And right now, Made In is offering our listeners 15% off your first order with the promo code TBTL. This is the best discount available anywhere online for Made In products, and you get that when you go to madeincookware.com/TBTL and use the promo code TBTL for 15% off your first order. That's Made In Cookware, MADEIN cookware.com/TBTL, and use that promo code TBTL to get that 15% off. It's time to really invest in your kitchen cookware. You're going to love it.
Thank you, baby.
Let's thank some donors of the day. Wonderful, generous people who are donating, and that's how we're able to do the show. Talking about Teresa Slusher of Tumwater, Washington. You may drive through Tumwater, Andrew. Well, that's more, I guess, Olympia way. You'll probably hang a Louis somewhere around Tacoma. I noticed that in Packwood, you're going to be not far from a forest called Tatoosh.
Ooh, that sounds Star Warsy.
Doesn't it? It's also the name of the restaurant, an offshoot of the Emerald Queen Casino. When you're driving on I-5 through Fife, when you get near the Poodle Dog Cafe, if you look over, you'll see a restaurant called Tatoosh. And I've always noted the name because it sounds very Star Wars.
Yeah, it really does. It does.
Anyway, Teresa's down in Tumwater. Thank you, Teresa. Corin Copps is in Seattle. Corin, thank you very much for supporting our little program.
I guarantee you I will be passing through Seattle.
Really?
To get there, to get to Packwood, yeah.
Interesting. So that's the route you're going to take.
It's hard for me to imagine. I mean, there might be a route where I don't go through Seattle, but it'd just be much easier.
I actually was driving from, Mount Vernon, because I went to that party at my buddy's house, Becca and I did. But then driving from like Linwood, where our hotel was, to Portland the next day, Waze had me going via every side road, and not just side road, but like side highway. It was like going through Puyallup and literally driving, like looking at Mount Rainier to the left. Like I was almost in Packwood. And I kept being like, okay, I guess you know what you're doing, Waze, but that's because I-5 was so jacked up. Mm-hmm. So you never know. It may have you go through like, central Washington, eastern Washington. You never know. Just trust the Waze is what I would say. Trust the process.
Through Portland, back up Packwood.
Yeah,
yep.
Sure. Okay. I got a couple things I need you to bring down, actually, from Seattle, so that would help me out. Thank you. You know who's helping us out? Lisa Claus. Klaus? Claus. I'm going Claus.
What was that noise I just made? I was trying to think and talk at the same time.
It's the new...
Yeah, that was rough,
The new favorite drop on TBTL. I think it's Lisa Claus.
Yeah.
In Westchester, Pennsylvania. Beautiful Westchester. And the last name is spelled, again, yesterday, I forget the name, but we were talking about a name that a listener had that was sort of lent itself. Oh, it was Cecilia. And I said, I'll leave the Paul Simon jokes alone. This Lisa's last name is spelled like Santa Claus. So, I feel like that's something that Lisa's probably heard at many times in her life. So, Lisa, thank you for the donation, and we will leave the obvious Christmas time references. I tried to make a Challenger Gray and Christmas joke on Twitter the other day. Boy, that's a niche tweet.
Challenger Gray?
And Christmas?
What's that?
I'm surprised working in public radio you haven't played in this space. There is like a huge employment firm. I think they're a staffing company. Like if you have a big office, right? Like you're a big company and you need lots of different people to work at various levels of the office. I think you reach out to this firm, this staffing firm, but their name is Challenger Gray and Christmas, which have to be like the three last names of the founders.
Yeah.
And they cite them on Marketplace all the time because they're a staffing firm. They also have analysts that are looking at staffing patterns. And when the topic of unemployment comes up, it's very common to hear like so-and-so from Challenger Gray and Christmas. But I just feel like whoever got Christmas on that list, like I know your name is Brent Christmas, and I guess it's memorable, but I feel like that must have been like the meeting between Challenger and Gray and Christmas. They were like, okay, we'll call it Challenger Gray. And Christmas was like, what about me?
Hold on. You're suggesting that they should have left the name off because it's distracting? Because it's a holiday?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
don't think so. I think it stands out more, even though it didn't stand out to me. And
Well,
I've
that was
probably
the
heard it
argument
a million
apparently
times.
Brent Christmas made
Yeah,
because it got it on there.
Exactly. Well, I represent Brent Christmas.
So I just was like driving back from the gym the other day. Oh, you're
going to the gym?
The downside, Andrew, of this getting up on the earlier side that I've been doing is I now hear Morning Edition twice.
Oh, wow.
Which has been a real frustration because I'll hear it in the 6 a.m. hour and it'll be great. And then at the 8 a.m. hour, they're re-racking it. And I'm like, I get it, A. Martinez. We've been down this road, dude. Get some new content.
That must also be a somewhat good feeling, though, because I've been in phases of my life where that was similar. And to me, that meant, boy, I really got to start on the day. I've wrung out Morning Edition for all it's worth.
Well, the problem is because the Howard Stern Show is on their 2-month summer break, I have nothing else to listen to. So I ended up listening to the NPR One app.
Oh, yeah, that thing is awful.
The other day. Well, here's what was good about it. So, by the way, thank you so much, Lisa Claus. And
look at this.
Angie Dominguez.
Dear friend.
Down there in Austin, our friend Angie. Thanks, Ange. Appreciate you. Margaret K. in Kenmore, Washington. And then Christy Landefeld in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Beautiful Ann Arbor, Michigan. Thank you so much to these donors of the day. This is what happens, Andrew. We get into the donor segment. My brain starts tangenting like crazy. And then I realize we got to thank more donors. And I think I'm going to thank more donors. And then I'm going to go back to my tangent. And then I forget it. Although in this case, I remembered it. You remember the show... the Diane Rehm Show.
Yes, of course, very much so.
Well, that show became something called 1A.
Yep.
And it was hosted by Joshua Johnson. And I really loved that show. I think you did too, because one of the things they did, first of all, just a really sort of like when To the Point, or what was the Warren Olney one? Not The Which Way LA, but the other way, To the Point, right?
Yeah, To the Point, yep.
When To the Point went away, I feel like there was a sort of a vacuum of this old school daily public radio show where you just do a topic and you have like 9 guests on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, who are all kind of experts on the topic, and you're just like, as the host, just kind of, running this chat. Like, there just used to be a lot more shows like that, and I kind of love those shows. Like, there's nothing particularly sexy about them. They're not like beautiful diamonds of public radio, as I often call, the This American Lives of the world. But there's just something very sort of comforting about those programs. Anyway, the show that the Diane Rehm Show became 1A was really a program like that. And also, they would also just play music, like popular music or Sade or whatever. And they would just be like, yeah, this is the new Sade. Like Joshua Johnson would be like, yeah, this is the new one from Sade. As they'd come back, we're talking about, the withdrawal from Iraq. By the way, this is the new one from Sade.
Really?
And
so
I was like,
they were using it as bumper. They weren't just playing full songs, but they were kind of identifying it, not just having it be this random. That's good. Yep. I'm glad they're doing that. I always wanted to do a show where you just like, where we wanted to do a midday show where we would do a couple of talk segments and then just be like, here, check out this new track from Peter, Bjorn, and John, and just like play a full song. That was a big dream of mine. It was not my original idea. It was my boss's idea, but then he left, and I could not get the rest of the producers and my new boss to sign off on that. It would have been a really cool vibe, though.
They don't play the full songs on 1A, but they play enough of them, and they have lyrics.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
They will say who the song is, and I'm like, this is a really good idea. Like, I don't know how it became the case in public radio that you have to just play, you can't have any lyrics, or it's, I don't know. I just find it I love that element of the show, and they've continued it. Joshua then went to MSNBC where he works, and a woman named Jennifer White, who I know, took over 1A, and she is an excellent host.
I haven't heard her.
She used to be at WBEZ. I believe she was the morning edition host at BEZ, and she's just really good. So anyway, I was like, I was driving home the other night, and I caught 1A here on OPB. I don't know, it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, this show is good, man. This is like scratching an itch for me. Or so you do? No.
Yeah, you scratch.
You can't scratch an itch.
Yeah, you can. I do.
You can scratch.
I scratch other people's itches.
Mm-hmm. I was like, man, this is exactly what I just have this, again, I have this weird soft spot for driving around at night, listening to like pretty serious public radio conversations about things. And so anyway, the next morning I got up and it was like, I was hearing the re-rack of Morning Edition at 8, and I was like, God, what can I do? I jump on the NPR One app. What is it? It's 1A. And they were talking, it was the next day's show that they had been promoting the day before. In other words, they said, tomorrow on the show, we're going to talk to these 2 doctors who are experts on everything that's going on with COVID and the Delta virus. And I was like, Delta virus? What's that? And so then I get up the next morning and I put on the NPR One app and it's that episode. And I remember thinking when I heard the promo, that'd be kind of good to hear because it's like that's such a moving target and everything's changing all the time with this story. I'd love to hear like an hour-long conversation with 2 really smart doctors who really know this shit. And so I turn it on and I'm listening to it and I was like, this is a good outcome. So
yeah, I'll bet you at this point in my life, because I'm not like, I used to just listen to public radio constantly, nonstop, and it's not like that anymore. It's much, much more here and there because I usually have sports radio on. But like in this day and age for me, I'll bet you I have an under 1% chance of ever hearing the things that I hear promoted. You know, like All Things Considered often will be promoting something that's going to be on the next day's morning edition or the next day's All Things Considered, or you'll hear a Fresh Air promo or what have you. And I'll bet you I can't ever remember, I cannot remember, I should say, the last time that I've been like, yes, this is that thing that I heard promoted. It just kind of goes into a void for me.
Well, this is like a long-running debate, I think, within the world of public radio, too, which is, do promos work? And I think they don't. I think what they are just ways of telling the listeners what is also happening on the station.
Yeah, yep, that's smart. Yep.
It's more like it's sort of an ad for your show, but it's more generally speaking an ad. It's not like someone's going to go, let me, Siri, set a reminder. Sorry, everyone, that I just made that happen in their life. Like, it's not like people are going, set a reminder. Wayne Coyne is on Livewire this week. I must listen at 11 a.m. on Saturday. But they hear the promo, and it's just sort of a way, I think, of telling listeners, we got cool shit happening on our show, so that they have a general positive sense of what's going on. Because, I can't imagine that there's... Also, sometimes I'll be listening to a public radio, and I'll hear, it's Tuesday, and I'll hear a promo for something that's airing on Saturday, and I'll think, wow, that's a really optimistic promo. That you think somebody's going to carry that through their week. That Hidden Brain on Saturday is going to talk to whoever. Like, man, I think that I don't think it really works that way. But yeah, I was shockingly gratified to be listening to a thing yesterday morning that I had heard about the previous night and thought to myself, that would be interesting. Yeah. I would like to hear that. And then I was hearing it and I was like, everything's coming up Millhouse.
And it paid off. It was good.
It was good. It was depressing AF because it was about how avoidable this whole thing has been, at least this Delta variant and just the way. But also it was encouraging because, look, our listeners are very smart people. They don't need... This is not the place they need to turn for the latest on like the science around like the Delta variant, et cetera. But I think it's easy if you're someone who really tried to do the quote unquote right thing over the course of the last year and a half. In other words, you masked up, you were socially distant, you didn't go take trips or visit people that you wanted to visit because of safety concerns. If you were somebody who was just trying to really help get us past this, and then you got vaccinated, and then you thought, now it's going to be better. And then you start to hear news about breakthrough cases and people being able to transmit it even if they're vaccinated. I think it has a particularly devastating effect on you, more so than somebody who was just kind of cash about it or thought, I don't know, it's a little overblown, or even the people who are like, it's a pandemic or whatever. Like, there's a certain group of us, and I count myself in this, who really tried very, very hard to... And the thing we told ourselves, the carrot that was sort of out there in front of us was, then it'll be over. We'll be vaccinated, everyone will be safe, and real life can start again. And then to hear, actually, vaccinated people can have a high, load count in their nose, gross, is just really depressing and dispiriting. But I also think it's important to remember that there are very, very few incidents of people who have been vaccinated being admitted to the ER with a breakthrough case. It is exceedingly rare. I think it's also, as of right now, pretty rare for people who have been vaccinated to actually transmit it. It is possible. He had that thing that happened in Provincetown, but where there was that big get-together. But, like, I think that...
Wait, did you say it's hard for a vaccinated person to transmit it? Because I thought that was not the case. I thought that actually
it's possible, but it's not... What the CDC is saying is that it is possible. It can happen. But they're not saying it's as possible as somebody who's unvaccinated. right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
definitely, I
they're
knew
saying
that it mitigated it, but I thought that the case was, yes, it's definitely protecting from the most severe symptoms if you do happen to catch it, but and you might be carrying it and not even know. It was, and again, I'm not trying to spread misinformation here. I'm saying it was my understanding that apparently I'm wrong about, that I thought the fear was, yes, vaccinated people, they might be kind of quote-unquote healthy, but carrying this like a
that
sleeper
is certainly
cell.
a thing that can happen, but it is not. If you were to put 100 people in a room and 50 of them are vaccinated and 50 of them are unvaccinated, the chances of the unvaccinated people carrying the virus with them asymptomatically or just carrying it with them and giving it to someone else is still lower than the chances of somebody who has like no antibodies.
Yeah.
So like it's possible, but it's not like it's not all the same. In other words, it's like it wasn't for naught is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
listening
yeah,
to these
yeah,
two
definitely.
doctors, it was kind of like it helped pull me out of a bit of a spiral because I was just feeling like, what the frick? Were we even like, what was the point of the last year and a half and all the like freaking, sanitizing our boxes of Wheaties and like all the things that we were doing. And like now it's all the same. Like we're just, thanks to the Delta variant, we're just carrying it around. And it's like, no, it's not that extreme, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
being vaccinated makes a huge difference. And there's some promising stuff out of the UK where the Delta variant went, there was a surge and then it dropped off pretty precipitously. So hopefully we'll get a similar outcome here. I don't know. It's weird. And you know how it is. It's like hour by hour, just depending on like the last news article you read or the last, whatever public radio show you listen to. Sometimes it feels like, okay, we're going to get through this. And sometimes it just feels like, will we ever be through this?
And now we're in a new situation where before there was a vaccine, we have more interesting things to talk about. I'll just say this, and then I won't. Whatever you say, I won't respond to it, and we can move on. That way, I'll guarantee that I won't elongate this anymore.
I don't understand it, and I won't.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here silently. I sit with it. I was going to say that we have this sort of scenario now too, which is a new part of the psychology of all of this, which is before there was a vaccine, we knew that people had different opinions and different theories about what was going on in the world, from the I guess you did have anti-maskers, so you would have like people like us who were wearing masks, and then some people who were not wearing masks, making the world more dangerous. But now that we have a vaccine and everybody who is, I will say, like, who is right thinking to get the vaccine. By the way, the reason I'm stalling there is I know I got a emotional voicemail from somebody a while back who said, like, listen, I have health conditions that prevent me from getting the vaccine. I think, obviously there's the caveat. If you have health conditions that your doctor says you should not get a vaccine, well, then obviously that's okay. But I mean, that is such a small minority of the population. That's not the population we're talking about here. But anyway, my point is we are now in this part of the pandemic where it really does seem like like a few bad apples are ruining it for the rest of us, or maybe a better, like it's like when you're in a classroom and everybody's doing exactly what they've been told the whole time, but then you have a few bad kids in the back, and then the whole class can't go to recess.
Yes, it's very, very frustrating. I'll tell you what else is frustrating. The fact that it would appear, based on one piece of reporting in The Ringer, that this guy who is looking like he's going to be the new host of Jeopardy is kind of, sort of in the immortal words of the Arizona Cardinal football coach Dennis Green, kind of appears like he might be who we thought he was. Like, he always struck me as a little bit of a sort of to use a Game of Thrones reference, he had a little finger vibe going on.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's just kind of always there off to the side, or if you want to go back further, like to David Copperfield, a real sort of Uriah Heep vibration, where somebody who just sort of seems like they're just kind of hanging out on the sideline, but they're sort of calculating everything pretty carefully. The story that The Ringer put out yesterday basically said, look, when this dude, Mike Richards, when he ended up guest hosting, he sort of presented it to everyone, like the contestants and the media, anybody who would ask him, as this kind of like, oh, we just had someone cancel at the last minute, so they literally had no one to do it. So I just did it, and fingers crossed. And what this reporting alleges, based on talking to a lot of people inside Sony and the company, whatever the company is, that I guess Merv Griffin Productions, is that what really happened was there was somebody that was supposed to be one of these, kind of like fill-in hosts / people auditioning for it, and they had like a minor scheduling conflict. And the Jeopardy folks were like, oh, that's fine. We can work around it. We can make that happen. There was one person who was like, no, we can't make that happen. It's impossible to make that happen. I'll give you 10 guesses, Andrew, as to who that was. But I think you only need one. It was the dude, Mike Richards.
Oh,
who was
I was going to say
there
Varys. Damn it.
Yeah. This is why I'm really embarking on a personal health plan, Andrew, because I look so much like Varys. So much like Varys. It's striking.
Well, you're wearing those tunics, man. I told you, get a belt.
Do not ask me what's in this box that I've got here in the broadcast center. Shut up, box. I really do look like Varys. It's really wild. But anyway, it's... So it sounds like, if these people are to be believed, and I don't know why they would lie, but it just sounds like he's sort of exactly the dude who we thought he was, in that he was like sitting there. I guess I also didn't realize this, but he worked on The Price is Right. He was a high up producer of The Price is Right, and guess what he also did? He was trying very hard to be the new host of The Price is Right until Drew Carey got it. Now, on the other hand, what am I always trying to do? I'm always trying to weasel myself into situations, whether it's television jobs or, radio things or whatever. So it's like, on the one hand, I don't understand why this strikes me as so thirsty, because I wouldn't be talking to you into this microphone, or, talking into this microphone to you if not for my own thirsty tendencies. But there's just something about him kind of just hanging around, being the last guy at the bar, and then also presenting his fill-in stint at Jeopardy as being kind of like, it's a real don't make me sing kind of a thing. Oh, don't make me sing. Oh, please. No, please, please. The Kristen Wiig character from SNL. It's like, oh, don't make me host. Oh, please. I wouldn't dream of it. And then turns out, no, I'm actually, I've positioned myself to do this. I've basically taken someone else off the list who would have done it and could have done it, but I'm acting like their schedule conflict is so profound that we got to push them off. Now I'm here. Now I'm negotiating with the bosses. Now I have the job. The other thing, too, I was reading the Daily Beast. While he was at The Price is Right, there have been, let me put it this way. I want to make sure I don't say something that's slanderous. But there have been multiple lawsuits from people that worked at The Price is Right against the overall executive team, which included this guy. And these were from what we used to call back in the days, which I don't think was an appropriate terminology, but you'd call them Barker's Beauties. Basically, the women who are kind of the models on the show on The Price is Right. And, they're showing off all of the products and everything. And I haven't watched The Price is Right in a long, long time. Although I do get the sense Drew Carey is a pretty good host.
Yeah, me too. This is... I've said on the show before, I'm really, really not interested in kind of whatever, talking about people's appearances, because first of all, who am I to talk? And also, if you do the job right, who cares? But I did not a friend of mine was texting me. I had tweeted out something ridiculous about Drew Carey that didn't even really make any sense the other day, because it was just based on some, I retweeted something that popped up in vintage TV Guide cover with Drew
Carey, and you said I
right?
missed the old Drew Carey
because the cover said it was from 1994 and it says the new Drew, and my joke was I missed the old Drew. I guess it was a Kanye reference. I don't even know what I was doing. It doesn't matter. But then after I sent it out, I was wondering if some people thought that I was saying literally I missed this version of Drew Carey because somebody sent me these photos of him. I didn't realize that his look is very kind of bedraggled now, right? He's hosting that show, but he's got kind of longish, kind of just shaggy gray beard that looks sort of unkempt. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't. This is all news to me, and I'm now...
I'm going to send you the photos. So does it pop up?
I'm seeing it. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't. And that's why I say I'm not trying to shame in any way here, but I was very surprised. That is not your traditional just midday game show host look, right?
To take it back, It's got a real, were you a good boy or girl this year? There's a real mall Santa vibe.
Yeah, right? And it's
With
the sort of unkemptness of the beard and like kind of the ducktail, like kind of longish hair in the back.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I dig it because Drew Carey seems to be a person who, well, first of all, he seems like a really sweet dude.
Yes.
And also, I like remember his big, the Drew Carey show. Well, obviously, he was a stand-up for many years, and then he got the Drew Carey show. But that was the whole sort of look. There was those like 1950s kind of thick black glasses and a flat top, and just this one. And he was, a man of sort of large carriage in those days, and that was a whole look. And then he, at some point, kind of, I guess, changed his lifestyle to some degree or whatever. He sort of lost a lot of weight. And then he was kind of like svelte Drew Carey, and he had a bit of a different look. And now he's kind of like, again, in one of them, I swear to God, he looks like David Lynch vaguely. And he's like wearing like a collared shirt that's buttoned up to the top collar, but no tie or top button. Okay. And it's pretty stylish looking. Like, I kind of dig that he's been like at least 3 different versions of Drew Carey in his public career.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some photos here. Yeah, one of them, he's like, when he apparently, I didn't really recall this, but in some of these photos, he was younger and he had lost a lot of weight, and he actually had quite the jawline. I will give him credit for that.
Well, he was in the military in his young days, and he was like I've seen pictures of that. He was a real bona fide stud.
Cleveland Browns fan, of course. I'm looking at headlines here. Lifelong Browns fan. Game show host Drew Carey will be rooting for the home team on Sunday. That's a headline. That's that's what ABC News 5 Cleveland needed to dedicate resources to. Will Drew Carey be rooting for the Browns on Sunday? This headline says yes. This reporter says yes.
You know what's another weird headline I saw the other day? And I am no one to talk about this because I am the guy who was on this show years ago being like forswearing all drinking and I will never drink again. And obviously I drink. So I'm not trying to get on people about their sobriety, but the headline was The Weeknd, the singer, the performer, The Weeknd is sober now. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I dig into the piece and it's like, well, he still drinks.
Yeah.
And he still smokes pot, but he's not doing coke anymore. Uh-huh. And I was like, isn't the headline The Weeknd has stopped doing coke?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. You're not judging him. You're just saying that's an accurate. Like that's not what the definition of sober is.
I would also read an article that says The Weeknd stopped doing coke.
Right. Yeah.
It was just there were so many caveats.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of people are Cali sober, which I find very intriguing. And I was saying this to Addie last night. Like I definitely could see myself trying to go in that direction at some point. Which is the Cali sober is just the idea that you don't drink alcohol, but you still engage with like marijuana.
But
you
literally you don't like marijuana though. That's the problem with that.
Yeah, but
right?
I feel like if I committed myself to it, I could.
Oh my god!
No, I don't mean wake and bake.
Oh, sorry.
I'm being totally serious. I just haven't. I have not engaged with it very much in my life. I mean, I'm talking like probably 20 times max, if that. And so. Whereas I have a very comfortable and familiar relationship with alcohol, which is basically poison. I don't have that with weed, but it's probably just because I haven't done it very much. Like, I honestly think it wouldn't be the most crazy idea for me at some point to sort of go to really do some research and say, like, is there a particular product, because it's so scientific now, that I could, in lieu of having a JMO, have a little puff of that or whatever, and would that kind of create a certain relaxation or whatever it is I'm looking for? Because that I think would probably be long term better for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's probably
just on the physical side. So like I said, I think the Cali sober movement is a kind of an interesting one to me. But anyway, there's all versions of how people are, I guess, thinking about their relationships with like drugs and alcohol. But I just think, but as I read down to the article, well, he still does drink. Okay, all right, well. He still smokes weed.
I don't know if this is going to pay off or not, but I think I found a version of the article you're talking about, and I think this might actually be. I don't know if this is an actual interview with him or if this is just one of those things where they put a bunch of words over images and try to fool me. But let's take a listen to this.
I'd just like to say.
Oh, it's the wrong thing. I was trying to spoof you. We have that's not. I don't even know what that is. God damn it, that was going to be so good. I was so proud of my setup. There we have a drop
what was it going to be?
That you sent me a long time ago, or somebody sent me a long time ago, where I think it's like, I don't know, it's like some janky skit from the internet where there's somebody with a southern accent saying like he doesn't do drugs, and he's like listing all the drugs he doesn't do, but then how much he loves a bunch of other drugs. Does this ring a bell to you at all?
No.
I'm doing a terrible
I wonder if
job
somebody
of
else sent it to
describing
you.
it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just really mad right now, man. That was going to be so
Don't,
good.
Andrew, don't go to the dark side. You're just realize
I was
6 hours from now
proud.
you're going to be hanging out in a cute hotel in Packwood. You're going to be having a yummy dinner. You're
Falling
going to order
asleep.
you're going to order a beer, and you're going to be like, "Ooh, I don't want that." But then about the third sip, you're going to be like, "Huh, that's actually going down better than I expected it to."
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's 2:00 in the morning, and for some
You're like,
reason,
why is Bobby here?
exactly what I was going to
What?
say. What happened?
I just want to put a little bow on this, although that's a weird way to describe it, because I don't want to elide what seems like there might be some real concerns around the managerial style of this would-be new Jeopardy host. But so a number of the women who worked on The Price is Right have said, through lawsuits and other things, that they felt that they were treated inappropriately by the staff. It doesn't seem like a lot of it is this guy walked into a room and did this. It's more just like this. They would allege that it was a toxic culture where they were, like one of them says that she was told that if this guy, Mike Richards, had known she was pregnant, because I guess she was pregnant, but it was not showing, she would not have been hired. I think she got the job and then was hired, or excuse me, she was hired to do the job and then a few months later said, "I'm actually pregnant. I'm going to need some time for maternity leave," and that didn't go over well. Just sounds like it was a kind of a shitty environment to work in, and there was a lot of
because I just think of those shows as being so like that's just so. That's the antithesis of what those shows are supposed to inspire in us, right? Like they're just supposed to be bright, happy places.
Yeah, I mean they are, and yet everything we know about toxic masculinity and just the patriarchy tells me that it was probably never a great scene to be in a bikini on national television.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Putting a golf ball.
Yeah.
Or standing next to a Broyhill dinette set. Like, I bet you it was not great at any point in the history of that happening,
you don't think so? Huh.
I don't think so. I think it's unlikely. So I guess my point in all that is just to say, I guess we'll see what happens with all of this. I don't know how much of this noise is noisy enough that it could kind of, push things in another direction. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was of the opinion that maybe you had said, Andrew, I thought your hot take yesterday was great, which was maybe this was a trial balloon by the Jeopardy folks just to kind of be like, what is the internet going to make, or what are people going to make of this hire? And it would seem like everyone's been pretty down on it. I was talking to somebody yesterday who thought maybe it was the dude himself, the would-be host himself, Mike, who kind of leaked it as a way of trying to like sort of let the air out of the balloon slowly instead of popping it all at once. Like if they just announced that he was the new host, there could be this overwhelming backlash. But if you kind of do it in drips and drabs, like he's in final negotiations, you could just spread out the anger and have it be survivable.
That's a very interesting theory. I feel like that it just. Yeah, it doesn't. If that is, and again, that's just a theory. That's one person's theory, I guess. But that doesn't seem like a very good plan, because then it gives everybody because I honestly thought it made more sense like for the institution to leak it out, and then you can kind of gauge reaction, and then you can say, well, nothing has been inked right now, so we can adjust. Whereas if they're doing it to themselves, and he's already getting this negative backlash, but nothing is on paper, like you've just screwed yourself.
Yeah. I keep saying this. I said it yesterday. I think Ken Jen gets a little bit of a special sort of a special position because he is so associated with the show, and because he was, he has these records at the show, and it just is so. It feels like the idea of Ken Jen getting the job would kind of make sense to me, but almost literally any other white male makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I mean,
especially
like,
one without any kind of credentials or like a name recognition with the audience.
In the era that we live in, the idea that a person of color or a woman or a woman who is a person of color, whatever, that was not at the absolute top of their list as a thing that they would want to consider. is just shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's so shocking to me. Like, I cannot believe a white dude who's not Ken Jennings got that job.
Which again, nobody's got the job. Just a reminder of that. You know what I mean?
So you're saying I'm still in the running.
Even the story said, like, there's just like negotiations are ongoing, and people were, people who weren't commenting on the record, on background, were saying, like, there's still candidates in the mix. So whoever leaked this, it was definitely a leak. I think was it Variety who had it? Was it Hollywood Reporter? I want to say Variety. Whoever had this, it was definitely a leak from some interested party.
Yeah. All right. I'm put 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
I do want to tell you about the secret tricks hidden inside restaurant menus. This is from the BBC, somebody named Richard Gray. There's an entire industry known as menu engineering, which is dedicated to basically designing menus so that people will have a certain feeling when they read the menus and will, of course, spend more money. Heavier menus have been shown to suggest to the customer they're in a more upscale establishment.
No, I could see that, yep.
And I've noticed that, too. Like, usually the fancier the place, sometimes they'll just give you a book, just like a giant wood-bound book
I don't like
of
that.
a menu. They did a study in Switzerland that found that wine that is labeled with difficult-to-read script was liked more by drinkers than the same wine that was carrying a simpler typeface.
Oh, my God. Because if it's easy, then you're not a true connoisseur.
I know this is like confirming all the things about restaurant life that I think you find not really the greatest, right, Andrew?
Well, not all. I mean, I actually think it's interesting. I mean, I love the science behind this stuff. I love the psychology of all kinds of marketing that we don't think about. Like, just, we'll mention sometimes on the show just the psychology of how you lay out a grocery store. Like, I find this all really fascinating. It's not really like kind of triggering that. It's just the wine thing just seems to anybody who feels like, I just feel like there are the people in the world who say, like, no, like, don't let wine intimidate you. The world of wine is not intimidating. It's just fun. Get on the train wherever you are, and we'll take you the rest of the way. But then it's like, oh yes, people like, the people will order a different kind of wine if it's harder to read. Totally, yes. Like, it kind of belies that, or maybe it doesn't belie it, but it just like underscores this idea that there are like people who want to be almost like gatekeepers to the world of wine in a certain way. You have to overcome something, and it says something about you if you understand wine.
The same study found that rounder typefaces convey a sweeter taste of the food.
Whoa.
To people, while angular fonts tend to convey a salty, sour, or bitter experience.
Now that I can't even wrap my head around, to be honest with you.
Just think about a round. I mean, just think about something angular versus something round. And if there's a round font, it makes your brain think, oh, this food is going to be sweet or sweeter. And if it's angular, you think, oh, it's going to be sour or bitter.
Maybe that's why they have separate dessert menus. You can use different fonts.
Giving dishes descriptive names can increase sales by up to 27%. In some cases. Also, Stanford put out a study that found that vegetables that have been given indulgent-sounding descriptions, such as sweet, sizzling green beans and crispy shallots,
sure, yep,
those were picked 23% more because it made them sound more exciting and flavorsome. That's probably not that surprising.
No.
Here's one. A study from the University of Cologne in Germany, this is just from last year, found that by naming dishes with words that mimic the mouth movements when eating, restaurants could increase the palatability of their food. So imagine this. Words that move from the front of your mouth to the back of your mouth, which is also what the sensation of eating is, Andrew, that makes people think the food is more appealing. And the example they use, which I don't think is really a food, but the word bodak. Say the word bodak and experience how it moves through your mouth. It starts at the beginning because you're making that B sound and ends with that K sound.
Yeah, you got to pull your tongue back. Okay.
So if you have a bodak steak or something, if you've named one of your dishes something that causes the person to say the word so that it moves naturally from the front to the back, that apparently makes people more hungry for that food.
Wow, that I'm dubious. I mean, listen, I haven't studied it out, but like that
wait till you're ordering the bodak steak in
I know
tonight.
I will admit that I am really hungry for bodak steak right now, and I don't even know what it is.
What is your go-to hangover food?
Oh, well, not on a weekday I wouldn't do this, but like if there's a No, I don't have a great answer for that. But like, if it's a weekend, like let's say that we went to like the Eagles on a Friday and we stayed out all night, or we had a party or something. It was like one of those, and you just wake up in an unusually hungover state. I feel like Genevieve and I kind of think like we've earned some fast food. Like we're not a big fast food family. And again, I'd like to say it doesn't mean I'm eating healthy. I just ate a chicken Parmesan sandwich the other night, at a bar. That's not fast food, but I'm not like on some high horse here. The shit that I eat just happens to not be fast food. But like, I do think that like there's, at some point we're like, well, we got really drunk last night. Let's reward ourselves with some Burger King, because Burger King would be my number one fast food restaurant, I think. So yeah. I mean, you can do that thing where you kind of pull different menu items together and create your fantasy fast food meal. But I think just the median best fast food restaurant for me is Burger King. So I'll go with that.
I know Jen used to have a whole system, as you would be unsurprised to hear, and it involved vitamin water, I believe, and Dick's cheeseburgers.
Oh.
And she would send Jason out for this, if she woke up on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning and was like, not feeling great from the night before. And apparently she swore by that combination of stuff. I mean, there is something that is actually kind of fun and delicious about making terrible decisions and then the next morning being like, that means I should make more.
Exactly.
I've earned these, and I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm not even being sarcastic or sarcastic.
Yeah.
There is something kind of that's just comforting about being like, and I'm going to use a swear here, so sorry, kids. There is something very nice about being like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like S today. Why can't I say shit when I just said the F word? There's something that's very comforting about just getting up and being like, I feel terrible. I made bad decisions last night, and the only way to fix this is with more bad decisions.
Wait, this isn't the tape I'm looking for, is it?
There are individuals out there that get turned on by feet.
Nope, that's not it. Sorry, man. I've done every search in my audio archive for like drugs, high. I've searched every drug I can think of, and nothing is coming up. I know I have this. I've played it, but I probably have not played it in, probably since 2012 or something.
Can it be the intro tape on Monday?
If I can ever find it. I'm literally now just starting with my oldest drop. I only have 3,100 drops in this folder, and I'm going through each and every one of them right now. So just keep talking. I also, by the way, don't have a music for your weekend picked out. So I'm obsessed with this.
Did you play anything on the old jukebox last night?
No, I don't initiate this. I don't know if you want the complicated answer to this. The easy answer is no. The slightly longer answer is I do not mess with the jukebox at Teddy's unless somebody else initiates it first, because I know that the bartenders there, they have their playlist that they all have their kind of like, it's all sort of a piece, but they all have their own, playlist that they play, and they like it. And they really don't like it when people start like kind of like, I'll hear them complaining about like somebody starting the jukebox, playing one song, and then it interrupts their playlist, and then it kind of keeps bouncing back and forth, and songs are getting cut off, and people aren't keeping a constant playlist going. That drives them crazy. So I don't usually do that. But then if some other Yahoo there, like they did a few nights ago, starts playing like Fleetwood Mac songs on the jukebox, which is not. By the way, this isn't an anti-Fleetwood Mac rant, but I'm just saying, like, what is the point of just putting like an entire Fleetwood Mac greatest hits on the jukebox? Like, can I get some too? People were skipping my songs just to play all Queen songs and Fleetwood Mac. I'm just like, can we mix it up a little bit? I'm trying to add some spice here. Anyway, so I did not do that last night because nobody else was playing on the jukebox.
I see. Yeah, I don't ever get upsold on the prioritize your music button, pay more credits to move to the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always shocked, like that joint, my father's place, I'll be there sometimes, and I very much like to. I sit over in the corner, and I'm like on AMI, and I feel like which is like, there's touch tunes and AMI. These are like the two, prominent like systems. And I'll sit over in the corner, and I'll just like set up a whole playlist of songs, and then I'll just delight in watching people get excited about the songs, and they have no idea who's playing it. And it's so much better than just what the default setting was, because it's just like, the thing's just going to cycle through a bunch of random music. It's just like playing some John Cicada bullshit or something. And then all of a sudden it's like Broccoli comes on. by like Dram and Lil Yachty, and everyone's getting hyped, and I'm like, yes,
but
you're
the
welcome.
key is though, you got to keep that playlist going. Like, don't let it like kind of keep switching on and off. You know, like once you committed to that, like you got to have before you even hit play on the first song. You should probably have at least your first 2, if not 3 songs picked out. By the way, Luke, I'm Googling the story about the Weeknd you were talking about, and I think I actually found video of him talking about this. I'm not sure if it's one of those videos where they just put text over the screen or if it's an actual interview, but I think I found.
I don't know how you found this. I'm very excited to hear
just go with me on
the artist The Weeknd.
Let's go with this. This might be actually The Weeknd here.
Now, in the language the addicts
that is
use,
not it. Son of a. That was called marijuana. Let's hear it. This was marijuana
now,
warning.
In the language the addicts use among themselves, they never say to each other, let's smoke a marijuana cigarette. They say, let's turn on, or let's blast a joint.
Let's blast a joint. That's going to be you in the future when you quit drinking. You're going to be like, let's blast a joint.
Yeah, man, when I'm Cali sober, I'm going to be blasting joints like your dad blasts emails.
I really, really thought that was it. I'm not joking. I was so...
No, I could tell in your voice that you thought you had found it, and he was like, I mean, this is going to haunt your entire hike tomorrow.
No, I'm not going on the hike, Lou. What are you talking about? You think I can go hiking with it? I have to go through every drop. I've only got about probably 3,000 more to go through at this point. Stonks. What's a stonk? I don't know. Don't ask me. Ask Wealthfront. Listen, investing can be complicated, right? I mean, whether you're a beginner or you've been investing for years, investing can be complicated, and Wealthfront, a sponsor of TBTL Today, makes it easy. They have the right tools for every portfolio. They can create a portfolio of globally diversified, low-cost index funds, personalized just for you in minutes. And of course I know what all of that means. There's no manual trades, no picking stocks, no watching the stock market every day. They automatically handle all the investing based on your preferences that you control. Wealthfront can even help you lower the taxes that you pay as you invest. And Wealthfront is trusted with over $20 billion of assets. And you can get your first $5,000 managed for free by going to wealthfront.com/TBTL. All you need is $500 to get started. Grow your wealth the easy way and let Wealthfront do the work for you. To get your first $5,000 managed for free for life, go to wealthfront.com/TBTL. I'm going to spell it out here for you literally. WEALTH, that's the wealth part, front, FRONT.com/TBTL to start growing your savings now. Go to wealthfront.com/TBTL and get started today. All right, I know you know about TBTL, the podcast. You're listening to it right now, but have you tried TBTL, the newsletter? Because you can. Just go over to tbtl.net and click on the button that says sign me up for the TBTL newsletter. I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. Every week, Luke and I record a little video that we include in the newsletter. It's called Hey Dummies. We answer your questions, any questions you want to ask us. Well, there's all kinds of things in the newsletter. Don't take my word for it. Here, this is Mary. She's a big fan of the newsletter.
It has a nice welcome introduction, but then you have these phenomenal GIFs that are so much fun. You talk about amazing, wonderful people, and you introduce us to new things. And then the songs of the week, oh my gosh, and it just makes me so happy.
It can make you happy, too. I mean, listen, this is coming from Mary. She doesn't even listen to the podcast. She's here just for the newsletter. No joke. So, again, go to tbtl.net and click on the button that says sign me up for the TBTL newsletter, and we'll try to bring a little extra sunshine to your inbox every Friday afternoon.
We got to get the show wrapped up because you have important work to do.
I literally don't have a music. You go first.
Well, I'll start. I'll buy you some time. Also, hey, Andrew, my friend.
Yeah.
You also don't have to do a song this week.
Yeah.
What about that? I saw, our friend Kiki Lola was retweeting or I should say, was Instagramming something. Mm-hmm. And it was saying to people, basically, particularly young people who may be just getting kind of started in life and adult life, you don't have to stick around for it. Just generally. Mm-hmm. If it's a bad date, you don't have to stick around for it. If it's a bad job, if it's a bad relationship, if it's a bad situation, there's no honor in just gutting it out, right? And for you, Andrew, if this is just not the day for you to have a song, there's no honor in having a song.
You just telling that story gave me enough time to pick out a song.
Okay.
So
well, that was the goal. Yeah. You're welcome. Do you want to start with your song?
Sure, why not? I hope this starts. I didn't realize this is such a long song, but you were just talking about teddies, and I said that like there's a vibe there. I would say, no matter who's working for the most part, but also different bartenders definitely have their own kind of playlist that I can recognize at this point because I'm making a lot of good decisions in my life. And my buddy Keith, who works there, he's always playing a lot of stuff like this. This is a song called "Why Can't I Touch It" by the Buzzcocks. Take a listen to this. This is very Keith behind the bar era teddies. Take a listen. I know one thing about the Buzzcocks.
Man, I love that song.
They sing this song. That's literally all I know. Do you know anything about them?
I don't. I would see their name when I was, a teenager on things because they were like a cool band. But I always found the name Buzzcocks sort of off-putting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds very edgy.
But I like that song a lot.
Had you heard it before? Like, are you hearing this now and you're like, I've heard this before? Oh, okay.
No, I think that might literally be the first Buzzcocks song I've ever actually heard. I've seen their name on T-shirts for my whole life, but I don't think I ever knew their story. Are they from the UK or from Canada? They feels like they might be from somewhere not America.
Yeah, honestly, I honestly don't know. I mean, I could look it up.
Is this the drop you were looking for?
All right, kid. Let's deal some drugs.
Was that the one?
That is not the one. That's good, though. What else you got in the arsenal
there? Was this
there?
the one? That's Al Madrigal's housekeeper who accidentally ate one of his edibles and was freaking out. How about this one? Oh, maybe
there's going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll, chips, dips, chains, whips. Your basic high school orgy type of thing. I'm not talking candle wax on their nipples.
What?
I know what that is.
What?
I know what that is.
I just did a search for the word drugs in my iTunes, and what were you reading?
That was You Were Out, and I think Hannah was the guest host, and I was reading from my diary. No, everything was true except for the diary part. I did something. Let me tease this out a little bit. So I think I was giving Hannah a quiz, right? And because we host a cleaning podcast together, the quiz was about people cleaning up language in movies, and so I had a whole bunch of examples of. And I can't remember exactly how it went down, but of edits, right? Like overdubs in movies, like ridiculous overdubs.
Oh,
where they clean
right,
up
Find a Stranger in the Alps.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. And this, I cannot remember that particular movie. It was an 80s movie, and that quote is from some punk girl, I think. And then however they edited that was hilarious. But what you just heard was the original script that was then cleaned up.
Because I was trying to think, I feel like I would remember that.
Can you actually play that again? I'm gonna Google some of the words. We can get to this movie. Play it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we want to? Are we good with the listeners hearing this
There's
again?
going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll, chips, dips, chains, whips. Your basic high school orgy type of thing.
Here it is.
I'm not talking candle wax on their nipples.
It's weird science.
Wow.
Here,
I guess if they put it in Weird Science, we can put it in our little podcast.
A little lie-up. No, I've whipped up this nasty little soiree over at his friend Wyatt's house.
What?
Soiree, honey. I think that means, party. Party. There's going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll, chips, dips, chains, whips.
You got it. There it is.
Yeah, Kelly LeBrock.
There you go.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't usually, as a kid, I didn't sort of become fascinated with the Baywatch beauties or whatever it was, but Kelly LeBrock I thought was just in Weird Science. I thought was the just picture of female beauty.
I wouldn't have even known that name. I don't think I watched this movie as a kid. I don't even know if I've ever seen it all the way
I would
through.
have had a Kelly LeBrock poster. Would my parents have allowed it?
Yeah.
As you know, Andrew, I grew up in a house where we had to call it Amsterdam.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hey, how did that tweet do? I still think that's a really good joke, by the way. I really do.
I thought it was very gentlemanly that I liked your tweet and you liked my tweet because remember it was a competition.
Oh, that's right. Well, I'm sure. I mean, look, I'm just looking at. I just Googled you on Twitter. You have 15,
Hey, Gorgle.
You have 15.1. You have 15,000 followers. Like, of course, you're going to have more likes than me.
Well, there was a longer tail, I believe, on that tweet. You got the coveted Chris Hayes like smash.
Sure, yeah.
Right away, like instantaneous, just dopamine download.
You got
but mine was
74 likes. That's pretty good.
Mine was, mine was sort of built for a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh,
Andrew.
I got a Pee Wee 55 over here. You're in the 70s. My God.
55's not nothing. All right, listen, we gotta wrap this up.
I have 4,000 followers. You have 15,000 followers.
Well, many of those are eggs. I didn't run the program you ran to go through and carefully get rid of.
I know.
I'm good. I mean, if anyone wants to buy me more fake followers, I'm into it.
Yeah.
I've been very clear about that. All right, here's my song is a song that I heard on a playlist that is my daughter's playlist. That's how I start every suggestion on Music for Your Weekend.
Start a bar called My Daughter's Playlist. It could be right
next to my father's place.
Yeah.
This is a song from a French band called La Femme. The song is called Tu tiens lasse or Tu tiens lasse. I don't know how you say Lasses with a French accent.
Okay.
But that translates to you get tired of it.
Oh.
Kind of like the listeners when I keep telling them I got this song from a playlist of my daughters. But I am obsessed with this song, Andrew. It ticks every box for me. It's French. It's kind of dreamy. Although I think it's called like psych pop or something. That's technically the genre.
And this is relatively new, right? Yes.
I believe it's in the last few years. Okay. So can were you able to find that?
Yeah,
song?
I got it right here.
Can you just play that? I have been playing the song nonstop since about a week and a half ago when I heard it when I was on vacation.
Oh, Luke, this is off an album that just came out in 2021. So you are fresh as a daisy here.
Got him.
Here we go.
So there you go. That's La Femme doing You Get Tired of It. Very vibey summer song.
Yeah, I could see you listening to that on an airplane.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm really. And then I went and was listening to all their music, and to be honest with you, a lot of it is too out there for me. But that song is right in the sweet spot. All right, that brings us to our listener suggestion. I have never done this before, Andrew, in the history of the show, but I'm doing it this week. This is from listener Abony. Abony says, "Hi guys. You know how sometimes you're in a mood and a song comes on and it reminds you that you are not unique, which paradoxically makes you feel better? That's this song for me. The song is Reggie, I Don't Want to Feel No More." Now, I didn't listen to the song. I just liked that description of it so much from Ebony that I said, all right, take a flyer on it. Usually I listen to the song and I try to go, is this something that will appeal, to the listeners or be new for the listeners? I don't know how this song sounds, but I love Ebony's description of it, so that's what we're going to do.
All right, cool. I don't know this song either. I wonder if
so that's what we're going out with.
It's not The Weeknd, right? It's not The Weeknd talking about
Do you have any drops of do you have any audio of The Weeknd talking about his new sober lifestyle?
Let me see here. You know what? I do. He says that he's really cleaning things up.
Good evening, everyone.
God!
This is my favorite show we've done in like 2 years, just because of your level of frustration.
And I'm legit frustrated too. Like
I know that's what makes it great.
I label these things so carefully. Now, back in the day, and this is an old one. Back in the day, I didn't label them quite as carefully. But like, what could it be called? It's like some like Southern guy going on and on. He's just listing all these drugs. I've searched. Let's just get out of here. All right,
Yeah.
Ebony. Thank you, Ebony.
Thanks, Ebony, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back here on Monday. I mean, unless Andrew just absolutely loses his marbles over the
I'm
weekend.
not going
and we don't
anywhere.
See him again.
I'll still be here on Monday.
We'll see you on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay dry, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Sometimes I feel good in my chest, but I can never get that to my head. Sometimes I feel good in my bed, get up and I don't feel good no more. The streets say you don't need meds, my mama said you just need prayer. I need what they give you at the dentist, I don't wanna feel no more. 'Cause I don't wanna feel no more. I don't wanna feel no more. The street said you don't need meds. My mama said you just need prayer. I need what they give you at the dentist. I don't wanna feel no more.
I have more stories like that I could tell you too. All kinds of drug-related stories. I'll try and keep you awake with them tonight.
Power out.